Welcome to this whole school safeguarding training update on misogyny and violence against women and girls. By the end of this short training session, you have developed or refreshed your understanding of what misogyny is, of what violence against women and girls is, of recognising the signs of misogyny and violence against women and girls, and of what to do if you have a concern regarding misogyny and/or violence against women or girls. In December 2025, the government released its strategy on violence against women and girls. One of the key aims is to reduce violence against women and girls by half within the next decade. A key part of the strategy includes £11 million of funding for 3 school programmes. These are currently being piloted. The government has said by the end of Parliament in 2029, every secondary school in England will have a credible offer for educating students about healthy and respectful relationships, with every child able to access support. This could be through the new RSHE curriculum, through specialist training to deliver teaching in-house, and working with external providers to provide whole school sessions or mentoring. Schools will be given the choice of which approach they wish to use. The 3 programmes are currently being launched. The first programme is a £3 million investment in the Teacher Training Fund over the next 2 years to ensure the new curriculum has the greatest impact. Another is a £5 million pilot of healthy relationship training delivered by external providers. Further DFE investment by the end of Parliament will test the best approach to healthy relationship education and workshops, learning from these and growing the approach to deliver excellent provision in every secondary school. The third programme is a Tackling Harmful Sexual Behaviours pilot and is backed by £3 million. And this is to evaluate interventions directly targeted to support young people who display sexually harmful behaviours and teenage relationship abuse. Measures could include in-school interventions, resources, or support from external providers. The pilot will begin from September next year and will also include a new helpline which will be launched in 2026 for young people to call for support if they are displaying harmful or abusive behaviours in their intimate relationships or towards family members. Schools will be supported to integrate learning about positive relationship and violence against women and girls across every part of a child's school life. So learning is just not confined to the RSHE curriculum. The DFE will also release a campaign focusing on supporting parents and caregivers to echo what is being taught in schools and to reinforce the messages of healthy relationships, and this will also be launched next year, and the government will collaborate with the Premier League to develop new education resources that challenge harmful attitudes towards women and girls. Violence against women and girls is a widespread societal issue affecting girls and women of all ages. It includes offences like rape, stalking, domestic abuse, and technology-facilitated abuse. Schools play a crucial role in prevention, early intervention, and safeguarding. It is everyone's responsibility to be vigilant and professionally curious and to report any concerns we may have. Misogynistic attitudes can begin early and escalate if unchallenged. 1/4 of 10 to 15-year-old girls reported that they had experienced unwanted touching, unsolicited images, or experienced sexual name-calling. If not addressed, misogyny and harmful sexual behaviours can be visible, normalised, and frequent. It is essential that our whole school approach protects pupils and staff. It is important that we all have a shared knowledge and understanding of what misogyny and violence against women and girls are. What is misogyny? It can be defined as hostility, prejudice, or contempt towards women and girls. Violence against women and girls can be defined as any act of violence or abuse directed at women and girls because of their gender. This can include, but is not limited to, sexual harassment, domestic abuse, online abuse, sexual violence, coercive control, and harmful gender norms. Let's think about what we might see or hear in our day-to-day work which may indicate misogyny or violence against women and girls. Misogyny in schools doesn't always appear as something extreme or obvious. Often, it can show up in everyday interactions, attitudes, and behaviours that gradually create an environment where girls feel undervalued, unsafe, or disrespected. It can look like sexist jokes or so-called banter that target girls, making them the punchline and normalising disrespect. It can be dismissing girls' opinions or abilities, whether in the classroom, in sports, or in leadership roles. Sometimes it appears through sexualized comments about pupils or staff which contribute to a culture where girls' bodies are objectified. It can also involve sharing misogynistic content online, including memes, influencers, or posts that promote harmful stereotypes. We also see it in the normalization of controlling behavior in relationships where jealousy or monitoring someone's phone is framed as caring. Peer pressure plays a role too, pushing students into rigid gender roles about how boys and girls should behave. Misogyny can show up as victim blaming attitudes, especially when girls report harassment or inappropriate behaviour. It might be gender stereotyped play enforced by peers, where girls are excluded from certain games or told they can't do something because they are girls. It can also be as simple as excluding girls from activities or taunting them as less capable. And finally, it includes the everyday normalisation of disrespect towards girls, which can accumulate and shape the culture of a school. Recognising these behaviours is the first step towards challenging them and creating a safer, more respectful environment for everyone. Emojis might look harmless, but they can be used to communicate harmful attitudes. Research into online misogyny shows that digital symbols, including emojis, can reinforce sexist beliefs or normalise violence against women and girls. They often appear in groupings that create coded messages, especially in online spaces where misogynistic content circulates. Let's have a look at some specific examples. Firstly, lipstick or so-called girly emojis. These include lipstick, purse, high heel, and nail polish emojis. They are used to associate femininity with weakness and can be used to insult both boys and to mock girls. Secondly, sexualized emojis. These can include the aubergine, peach, splash, and tongue emojis. These emojis can be used to sexualize women without consent, objectify them, or frame them as sexual objects. Clown emojis are another group. They are used to ridicule girls for speaking up, for setting boundaries, or for rejecting advances. They are also used to dismiss women's experiences and portray them as foolish or unworthy of respect. Clean-up emojis, like the broom, sponge, toilet paper, or bucket, can be used to reinforce sexist stereotypes about women being responsible for domestic labour. In some online conversations, these emojis are used to mock women, tell them to go clean, or reduce them to household roles. They can be used in degrading, sexualised comments, often linked to porn-influenced humour. The no-brain or stupid emojis are belittling emojis. They may include emojis such as the brain, eye roll, or facepalm, and are often used to undermine women's credibility or intelligence. They can be used to mock women's opinions, portray them as irrational, or shut down their participation in discussions. These emojis may seem trivial, but when used repeatedly, they reinforce patterns of minimalization and disrespect. Threatening emojis can be used to intimidate, threaten, or silence women online. They may appear in jokes or memes. They also show up in abusive messages, often paired with misogynistic language. These may include the knife, bomb, and fire emojis. Even when they are not explicitly violent, the combination of threatening symbols with gendered insults can create a hostile environment and contribute to patterns of online violence against women and girls. In some misogynistic online spaces, cat emojis are used to mock or belittle women. They can be used in sexual context to refer to girls' bodies. Ownership emojis such as the lock, ring, chain, and crown can imply ownership or control over women. For example, a lock, a ring, and an arrow pointing to a woman can be used to signal that a woman is claimed or locked down or expected to be submissive. In manosphere spaces, these combinations reinforce harmful beliefs about dominance and entitlement. Drama-related emojis like the theatre, masks, firecracker, eye roll, crying, or laughter emojis can be used to trivialize or dismiss women's concerns. In misogynistic contexts, these emojis frame women as dramatic, overreacting, or creating problems. This kind of framing is a common tactic used to undermine women's credibility and minimize harmful behavior. Emojis are not inherently harmful, but the way they are used can be. Recognizing these patterns helps us identify early signs of misogynistic behavior online and enable us to intervene before it escalates. It is important that we look for patterns, not single emojis, context, who is targeted and how, repetition, frequent use of harassment or belittling, and power dynamics, those used to silence, shame, or intimidate. How many of these terms do you recognise, and do you know what they all mean? It's important that if we hear a term we are not familiar with, that we are professionally curious to ensure that we understand the context. On this slide, we are looking at several concepts that often appear in online spaces, collectively known as the manosphere. These are communities that claim to focus on men's issues, but some of them also promote anti-feminist ideas or hostility towards women. Not every space is harmful, but many of these terms used in these communities can carry problematic or extreme meanings. First, incel, short for involuntary celibate, refers to an online identity used by some men who believe they are unable to form romantic or sexual relationships. While not all people who feel this way are harmful, certain incel communities promote resentment towards women and can include extreme misogynistic beliefs. Next, the term red pill comes from the film The Matrix, where taking the red pill means seeing the truth. In manosphere context, it is used to suggest that society is biased in favour of women and that men need to adopt a dominant or manipulative behaviour stance in relationships to protect themselves. We also see labels like alpha or sigma male. These are presented as supposedly superior or dominant forms of masculinity. They often promote ideas about power, emotional detachment, and control, ideas that don't reflect real human relationships or healthy emotional expression. Finally, toxic masculinity refers to a set of harmful beliefs and behaviours linked to rigid, traditional gender roles. This doesn't mean masculinity itself is bad, Rather, it highlights how certain extreme expectations, like suppressing emotions or asserting dominance, can be damaging to both men and the people around them. Overall, these terms help us understand how certain online communities shape attitudes about gender, relationships, and identity, and why it's important to approach them critically. Let's look at some of the main ways misogynistic content can reach pupils, often without adults noticing. First, social media algorithms play a huge role. Platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram are designed to keep users watching. Once a pupil interacts with a certain type of video, even just once, the algorithms start recommending more and more similar content. That means a single click can quickly lead them into a stream of increasingly extreme or harmful material. Next, we have short form video clips. These are often taken out of context, edited to be funny or provocative, and stripped of any nuance. When extreme views are packaged as jokes or quick sound bites, they can start to feel normal or harmless, even when they're not. Another route is through gaming communities. Many pupils spend time on platforms like Discord or in-game chat spaces. These environments can expose them to misogynistic language, memes, or influencers, sometimes framed as part of the gaming culture, which makes it harder for young people to recognise them as harmful. We also need to consider peer sharing. Content spreads rapidly through group chats, memes, private message groups, and edited clips. Even if a pupil isn't actively searching for this material, it can still land directly on their phone because a friend sent it. Finally, online influencers play a significant role. Students often hear about figures like Andrew Tate through friends long before they ever see the original content. By the time they encounter the source, the influencer's ideas may already feel familiar or socially accepted within their peer groups. All of these pathways show how easily misogynistic content can circulate and how quickly it can become part of a young person's online environment. When we talk about preventing misogyny in school culture, we're really talking about creating an environment where respect is the norm and harmful attitudes don't get the space to grow. That starts with consistent behaviour expectations. Pupils need to see that the standards are clear and consistent. Staff play a crucial role here, as every interaction between adults with pupils and even in the corridor models what respectful communication looks like. Young people learn as much from what we do as from what we say. A key part of this is having zero tolerance for sexist banter. What's often dismissed as a joke can normalise harmful attitudes, so we challenge it early, calmly, and consistently. Our curriculum also matters. It's important that we actively challenge stereotypes and teach pupils about healthy relationships. We also need safe spaces where pupils can speak openly about their experiences. When young people feel heard, we can intervene early and more effectively. Ultimately, every member of staff has a role, challenging issues early, modelling respect in every interaction, and embedding equality through the curriculum. That's how we shift culture, not through one-off interventions, but through everyday practices. What behaviours in this scenario reflect early misogyny? How might this impact on girls' confidence and participation? What should the lunchtime supervisor have done in the moment? How could the class teacher follow up with both the girls and the boys? What whole school messages could prevent the pattern from continuing? Pause the video and reflect on these questions for a moment. You may have considered the following key learning points. Misogyny often begins with exclusion stereotypes and banter. Early intervention prevents harmful norms from becoming entrenched. Staff consistency is essential. Every adult must challenge sexist behaviour. Curriculum opportunities, PSHE, PE, assemblies, for example, can reinforce equality. It is important that as part of our safeguarding culture, we remain vigilant and professionally curious. Remember, safeguarding is everyone's responsibility. If we have any concerns, we must follow our safeguarding procedures and share our concerns using My Concern. The DSL or DDSL will review the concern and take appropriate action. A small piece of information when added to My Concern may create a bigger picture around a child's life. Misogyny and violence against women and girls are not inevitable. They are preventable, and prevention starts with us. Schools are powerful spaces for change. Every corridor, every classroom, every conversation shapes the culture our pupils grow up in. Every staff member contributes to a safer environment, from the language we challenge to the values we model. We all play a part in building respect. Early intervention protects pupils for life. When we act early, consistently and confidently, we change trajectories and safeguard futures. Together, we can create a culture where all young people feel safe, valued and free from harm. Thank you.